Blood dripped from my nose onto my swollen belly as my sister smiled, holding the DNA test she faked. She wanted my husband. She wanted my money. She wanted my baby's inheritance. I was 5 months pregnant, trapped in my own home, and she'd just convinced my mafia boss husband that our child wasn't his. The look in his eyes terrified me, until he found the truth. What he did to her next made her wish she'd never been born. They say family is everything. They lied. My sister Thessaly arrived at our Venetian-style Miami mansion 3 weeks ago. With tears in her eyes and bruises she claimed were from her ex-boyfriend. I was 5 months pregnant, exhausted, swollen, and desperate for help. My husband Cadenza, the man who controlled every shipping port from Miami to Naples, was drowning in a turf war with the Volkov syndicate. I needed my sister. I trusted her. That was my first mistake. The second was letting her sleep in the guest room next to our master suite. The third was not noticing how she watched Cadenza when she thought I wasn't looking. How her fingers traced the marble countertops like she was measuring them for her own life. How she asked too many questions about our offshore accounts, our properties, our security codes. By the time I realized what she was doing, she'd already poisoned everything. She'd doctored medical reports. She'd hired actors. She'd even seduced Cadenza's consigliere to plant evidence that our baby, the heir to the Torino Empire, wasn't his blood. But my sister forgot one crucial detail. My husband didn't build his empire by trusting anyone. And when he uncovered her scheme, the woman who'd shared my childhood bedroom became the most hunted person in 3 countries. This is the story of how blood isn't thicker than water when you're carrying a mafia king's child. If you're ready to hear the entire story, every twist, every heart-stopping moment, every secret revealed, hit that subscribe button right now. And here's the thing. Drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from, because tomorrow, I'm bringing you another story that's just as wild, just as unbelievable as this one. Trust me, you do not want to miss what happens next. I woke to the sound of breathing that wasn't mine. My eyes opened slowly, adjusting to the darkness of our bedroom, the master suite where Cadenza and I had made love countless times, where we'd planned our baby's future, where I'd felt safest in this dangerous world. The digital clock read 2:47 a.m. Cadenza was in Naples dealing with the Volkov situation. I was alone. Except, I wasn't. Thessaly stood at the foot of our bed, perfectly still, watching me sleep. She wore her black cocktail dress, the same one from dinner, and her makeup was fresh. Not smudged, not faded. Fresh, like she'd just applied it. Jesus Christ! I bolted upright, my hand instinctively covering my swollen belly. The baby kicked hard, sensing my terror. "What are you doing in here?" She didn't flinch, didn't startle, just smiled, that slow, deliberate smile I'd seen 1,000 times growing up, the smile that meant she'd gotten away with something. "I had a nightmare," she said softly. "I woke up and didn't know where I was. Your room was the only one with light under the door." I glanced at my nightstand. The lamp was off. The room was pitch black except for moonlight filtering through the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Biscayne Bay. "There's no light on, Thessaly." "There was—" She moved closer, her heels clicking on the marble floor. "I promise there was—" My heart hammered against my ribs. 5 months pregnant, exhausted, vulnerable. My phone was charging across the room on Cadenza's dresser. The panic button Cadenza installed after the last assassination attempt was in the bathroom. I was trapped. "How did you get in here?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "This door has a biometric lock. Only Cadenza and I can open it." Her smile widened. "You must have forgotten to engage it, Ev. You've been so tired lately, so forgetful." I knew I'd locked that door. I checked it 3 times before bed, the way I did every night Cadenza was away. The way he'd taught me to survive in his world. Thessaly moved to my side of the bed, sitting on the edge so close I could smell her perfume. Chanel No. 5. The same one our mother wore. The same one she knew made me nostalgic and vulnerable. "I'm worried about you," she whispered, reaching out to touch my belly. I jerked away. Her hand froze mid-air, fingers trembling. "You're carrying so much stress. It's not good for the baby. Get out." Ev, I'm your sister. I'm here to help you. You asked me to come, remember? You begged me to stay because you were so alone." Her voice cracked perfectly, tears welling in those green eyes we'd inherited from our father. "I left everything in Boston, my apartment, my job, my whole life, because you needed me." Guilt twisted in my chest, the same guilt she'd been weaponizing since we were children. When she stole my prom date and blamed me for being too boring to keep him interested, when she maxed out my first credit card and said I should have hidden it better, when she slept with my college boyfriend and called it teaching me a lesson about trust. But this time, something felt different, darker. "Your suitcase," I said slowly, my eyes adjusting to the darkness. I could see her luggage in the corner of our room, unpacked, clothes already hanging in my closet. "You've already moved your things in here, into our private space." I was just organizing, making room. "You have so much stuff, and with the baby coming, I thought—" "You thought you'd take over my closet? My bedroom? While my husband is out of the country?" I pushed myself up, struggling with my center of gravity. The baby pressed against my lungs, making it hard to breathe. "Get out. Now." Thessaly stood, smoothing her dress. For just a second, maybe less, her expression changed. The tears vanished. The concern evaporated. What replaced them was something cold and calculating, something that made my blood freeze. Then it was gone, hidden behind another mask of sisterly devotion. "Of course. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you." She backed toward the door, then paused. "I just want to say one thing before I go. That consigliere of Cadenza's, Victor, he came by today while you were at your doctor's appointment. He seemed very interested in your medical files, the ones you keep in the study." My mouth went dry. "What are you talking about?" "I'm probably wrong. I'm sure it's nothing. But he was in there for almost 20 minutes, and when he left, he was holding your prenatal folder, the one with all the genetic testing and paternity confirmation. I thought you should know." She opened the door, no biometric lock, no security engaged, like it had been disabled from the inside. "Sleep well, big sister. You need your rest." The door clicked shut. I sat in the darkness, my hands shaking as they cradled my belly. Victor had been Cadenza's right hand for 15 years. He'd saved Cadenza's life in the Naples-Napoli War. He was the godfather to Cadenza's late brother's children. He would never betray us. But Thessaly had a key to our bedroom. She'd been inside while I slept, vulnerable and alone. And now she was planting seeds of doubt about the one man Cadenza trusted more than anyone. I reached for my phone, my fingers fumbling with the passcode. I needed to call Cadenza. I needed to tell him something was wrong. The screen lit up with a text message from an unknown number. No words, just a photo. Thessaly and Victor, in a restaurant I didn't recognize, his hand on her thigh, her lips near his ear. The timestamp, 3 hours ago. My sister wasn't having nightmares. She was building an empire on top of mine, and I was the only one who could see it coming. The nausea hit at 6 a.m., violent and sudden. I barely made it to the bathroom before my stomach emptied itself. Once, twice, 3 times until there was nothing left but bile and the metallic taste of blood. My hands gripped the marble sink, knuckles white, as another wave crashed through me. "Evelette?" Thessaly's voice drifted through the door, saccharine with false concern. "Are you okay? I heard you being sick." I couldn't answer. Couldn't breathe. The room spun like I'd been drugged, and my vision blurred at the edges. My baby. God, my baby. I pressed my hand to my stomach, feeling for movement. Nothing. Then a small flutter. Weak, but present. "Thank God." "I'm calling Dr. Reeves," Thessaly said. I heard her footsteps retreating down the hallway, heard her voice drop to a whisper as she made the call. I forced myself upright, staring at my reflection. My skin had a gray tinge. Dark circles hollowed out my eyes. I looked like I was dying. The prenatal vitamins sat on the counter where I'd left them last night, the same bottle I'd been taking for 4 months, prescribed by the best maternal fetal medicine specialist in Miami. I picked it up, studying the label. The expiration date had been scratched out. My hands trembled as I twisted the cap, The pills inside looked different, darker, smaller. I dumped one into my palm and compared it to the photo I'd taken of my first prescription bottle. They weren't the same. Someone had switched my medication. Dr. Reeves says it's normal. Thessaly appeared in the doorway, her face the picture of sisterly devotion. She wore one of my silk robes, the cream-colored one Cadenza bought me in Venice. Morning sickness can spike in the second trimester. She said to rest and stay hydrated. These pills are expired? I held up the bottle. Look at the date. She frowned, taking the bottle from my hand. Oh my God, you're right. Ev, when did you buy these? You need to be more careful. You could hurt the baby. I didn't buy them. My doctor sends them directly from the pharmacy. They arrive sealed. I grabbed the bottle back, my voice rising. Someone opened this package and replaced them. That's crazy. Who would do that? Her eyes widened with manufactured shock. Unless, do you think someone on Cadenza's staff? One of the housekeepers? Oh God. What if the Volkovs have someone inside the house? She was good. I had to give her that. The way she pivoted, turning my accusation into paranoia about external threats, making me doubt my own reality. I need to see the security footage. Of course. Let's check together. I want to know who's been tampering with your things too. She linked her arm through mine, supporting my weight as another cramp seized my abdomen. But first, let me help you back to bed. You're in no condition to... Now, Thessaly. We're checking it now. The security room was off the kitchen. A converted wine cellar Cadenza had transformed into a surveillance hub. 12 monitors displayed every angle of our property. Gates, driveway, gardens, pool, interior hallways. Everything except the master bedroom, which Cadenza kept private. I pulled up yesterday's footage, fast-forwarding to the hours I'd been at my doctor's appointment. 2:15 p.m. The hallway outside my bathroom was empty. 2:47 p.m. Still empty. 3:03 p.m. There. A figure entered the frame, moving quickly toward my bathroom. The person wore a black hoodie, face obscured. They disappeared into the bathroom for exactly 4 minutes, then emerged carrying something small, my vitamin bottle. They moved with purpose, like they knew exactly where the cameras were and how to avoid them. But they made one mistake. As they passed under the hallway sconce, the light caught their profile. Just for a second. Just enough. That's not possible, Thessaly breathed beside me. That looks like... You. I froze the frame, zooming in on the face. Her face. That's you, Thessaly. No, I was with Victor. We were going over security protocols because you asked me to understand Cadenza's operation better, remember? You said it would help me protect you if something happened. Her voice climbed, desperation bleeding through the cracks in her performance. Someone's setting me up. The Volkovs must have... Victor confirmed you were together? Yes. Call him. He'll tell you. She grabbed my arm, her fingers digging into my skin. Ev, please, you know me. I would never hurt you or your baby. You're my family, my only family. The cramps intensified, radiating from my lower back through my pelvis. Something warm trickled down my inner thigh. I looked down. Blood. Not much. Just spots on my white nightgown. But enough. Oh God. Thessaly's face went pale. We need to get you to the hospital. Right now? She was already pulling out her phone, already calling 911, already playing the panicked sister who'd do anything to save me. And maybe she would. Maybe after she'd taken everything, my husband, my money, my home, she'd make sure I survived. Just broken enough to never threaten her again. The ambulance arrived in 8 minutes. The paramedics loaded me onto a stretcher while Thessaly held my hand, whispering reassurances that felt like threats. I'll call Cadenza, she promised as they wheeled me toward the door. I'll tell him you need him. That you and the baby need him. Through the fog of pain and fear, I watched her fingers move across her phone screen. But she wasn't calling Cadenza. She was texting someone else. And she was smiling. The baby was alive. That was all that mattered. Dr. Reeves stood at the foot of my hospital bed, her face professionally neutral. In that way, doctors perfected when delivering news that could go either way. The bleeding has stopped. Fetal heartbeat is strong at 142 beats per minute. But, Evelette, those pills you were taking. She paused, choosing her words carefully. The lab confirmed they contained phenylpropanolamine. It's a decongestant that was banned in prenatal vitamins 15 years ago because it increases the risk of hemorrhagic stroke and placental abruption. Someone tried to kill my baby. My voice sounded hollow, distant, like it belonged to someone else. Or hurt you badly enough to cause a miscarriage. Dr. Reeves sat on the edge of my bed, her hand covering mine. I've contacted Cadenza. He's on the next flight from Naples. He'll be here in 9 hours. 9 hours. 9 hours alone with Thessaly, who was sitting in the visitor's chair, her face a mask of horror and concern. She'd been crying, real tears this time, or at least convincing ones, and her hands shook as she gripped her coffee cup. I can't believe someone would do this, she whispered. In your own home, where you're supposed to be safe. Dr. Reeves stood, her jaw tight. The police are reviewing the security footage. Whoever did this will be found. She looked directly at Thessaly. Everyone in that house will be questioned. After Dr. Reeves left, silence filled the room like poison gas. Thessaly stared at her phone, thumbs moving across the screen in rapid succession. Texting someone. Always texting someone. Who are you talking to? I asked. Victor. He's arranging additional security for when you come home. Cadenza's orders. She looked up, her green eyes shimmering with tears I no longer believed. He's furious, Ev. I've never heard him like this. He said if anyone hurt you or the baby, he'd burn down Miami to find them. My phone buzzed on the hospital tray. A text from an unknown number. Check your email. Private account. A friend? My hands trembled as I opened my laptop, the one I kept for personal correspondence separate from anything connected to Cadenza's business. The email account was one I'd set up years ago before I married into the Torino family. Before my life became a labyrinth of security protocols and encrypted communications. One new message. No subject line. No text. Just an attachment. Torino proof. Zip. I glanced at Thessaly. She was still on her phone, absorbed in her conversation with Victor. I downloaded the file, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might wake the baby. The folder contained 12 photographs. The first showed Cadenza, or someone who looked exactly like him, entering the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in downtown Miami. He wore the charcoal Tom Ford suit I'd bought him for his birthday. His watch caught the light, the Patek Philippe I'd seen on his wrist 1,000 times. The timestamp, October 23rd, 11:47 p.m. The night he'd told me he was in Chicago meeting with the Calabrian families about the Volkov situation. The second photo showed him in the hotel bar with a woman. She sat close, too close, her hand on his thigh. Her face was deliberately turned away from the camera, obscured by long dark hair. The third photo showed them entering an elevator, his hand on the small of her back. The fourth photo, what are you looking at? Thessaly's voice cut through my shock. She was standing now, moving toward my bed, with predatory curiosity. I slammed the laptop shut. Nothing. Just emails. You're white as a ghost. Let me see. She reached for the computer. I pulled it away, my foreline tugging painfully. It's private? Ev, come on. We don't keep secrets, remember? That's what got us through Mom and Dad's divorce. That's what kept us together when everyone else left. She sat on the bed, her weight shifting me toward her. Whatever it is, we face it together. That's what sisters do. The door opened. A nurse entered with my medication, breaking the tension. Thessaly stepped back, her expression carefully recalibrated to sisterly concern. But I'd seen it. For just a second, I'd seen the real expression underneath. Triumph. After the nurse left, I opened the laptop again. This time, I didn't hide it. I wanted to see Thessaly's reaction when she saw the photos. Someone sent me these. I turned the screen toward her. Photos of Cadenza, at a hotel, with another woman. The night he was supposed to be in Chicago, Thessaly's face went through a performance of emotions. Shock, confusion, sympathy. Oh my God. Ev, The timestamp is perfect. The location data is embedded in the metadata. Whoever took these knew exactly where Cadenza was supposed to be. They knew his schedule down to the hour. I zoomed in on the woman's face, or what little was visible, and they made sure her face was hidden. Just enough to create doubt, but not enough to identify her. What are you saying? I'm saying this is a setup. Someone wants me to think Cadenza is cheating. Someone wants me to confront him, to doubt him, to push him away. I met her eyes, searching for cracks in her mask. Someone who benefits from destroying my marriage? Thessaly stood, her coffee cup trembling in her hand. You think I did this? You think I hired someone to follow your husband and fake photographs? Her voice rose, cracking with what sounded like genuine pain. I'm your sister, Yvonne. I gave up everything to help you through this pregnancy. And you're accusing me of, what? Trying to steal your husband? Your life? Then help me prove these are fake. Help me find out who really took them. Fine. She grabbed the laptop, her fingers flying across the keyboard. I'll send them to Victor. He has contacts with forensic analysts. If these are doctored, we'll know within hours. She paused, her eyes scanning the screen. But Ev, what if they're real? What if Cadenza really was with someone that night? The baby kicked hard, a rolling movement that felt like a warning. I pressed my hand to my belly, feeling the outline of a tiny foot. He wasn't in Chicago, Thessaly continued, her voice soft and poisonous. I checked his private calendar that night because you were so worried about him. He was in Miami, at home, with you, remember? My blood turned to ice. She was right. October 23rd. I remembered because it was the anniversary of our first date. Cadenza had canceled his Chicago trip to spend it with me. We'd had dinner on the terrace, made love under the stars, and fallen asleep tangled in each other's arms. He'd been with me all night, which meant the man in these photos wasn't Cadenza. It's a double, I whispered. Someone who looks like him. The Volkovs have been studying him for months. They could have found someone with the same build, the same coloring, or maybe it's Photoshop. Really good Photoshop. Thessaly closed the laptop, her expression unreadable. Either way, someone is trying to hurt you. And they're getting closer. My phone buzzed again. Another text from the same unknown number. Photo 5th shows her face. Do you really want to see IT? My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Every instinct screamed that this was a trap. That whoever sent these photos wanted me to spiral, to doubt, to destroy my marriage from the inside. But I had to know. Send IT. The photo loaded slowly, the hotel room coming into focus first. The bed, the woman's bare shoulder, her face turned toward the camera, eyes closed, lips parted. It wasn't a stranger, it was Thessaly, and she was smiling. Cadenza arrived at the hospital like a storm rolling in from the Atlantic, dark, violent, unstoppable. I heard him before I saw him. His voice echoed down the hallway, sharp and lethal, demanding to know why his pregnant wife was in a hospital bed instead of safe at home. Nurses scattered. Security guards straightened. Even Dr. Reeves, who delivered babies for Miami's most powerful families for 30 years, looked nervous when he entered my room. He was still wearing the clothes from Naples, rumpled and bloodstained from whatever business he'd been conducting. His jaw was dark with stubble. His eyes, those coal-black eyes that could seduce or destroy with equal efficiency, locked onto mine with an intensity that made my breath catch. Who? It wasn't a question. It was a promise of violence. Cadenza, who hurt you? Who hurt our baby? He moved to my bedside, his hands framing my face with unexpected gentleness. His thumb traced my cheekbone, and I saw his control fracturing. Give me a name, Evelette. Just one name. I should have shown him the photos. Should have told him about Thessaly, the vitamins, the security footage, but Thessaly was standing in the corner of the room, her face pale and terrified, playing the role of frightened sister so convincingly that even I almost believed her. We don't know yet, I lied. The police are investigating. His jaw clenched. He turned to Dr. Reeves. I want private security on this floor. No one enters this room without my personal approval. No food, no medication, nothing that hasn't been tested first. Mr. Torino, this is a hospital. We have protocols. Your protocols almost killed my wife? His voice dropped that quiet, lethal tone that meant someone was about to die. My men. My rules. Or I take her to a facility where patient safety is actually guaranteed. Dr. Reeves nodded, defeated. I'll make the arrangements. After she left, Cadenza pulled up a chair and took my hand, lacing his fingers through mine. For the first time since he'd arrived, he looked at Thessaly. Thank you for staying with her. Thessaly's eyes glistened. Of course, she's my sister. I'd do anything for her. She moved toward the door, grabbing her purse. I'll give you two some privacy. I need to check on things at the house anyway. Actually, Cadenza said quietly, Victor needs to speak with you first. He's waiting in the parking garage, level 3. Something flickered across Thessaly's face. Fear, maybe, or calculation. Victor? Why? Security protocols. Everyone in the house that day needs to be questioned. You understand? It wasn't a question. He'll drive you home after... She looked at me, her expression pleading for intervention. I said nothing. Just watched as she gathered her things, her hands shaking slightly, and left the room. The door clicked shut. Cadenza's entire demeanor changed. The gentleness evaporated, replaced by cold fury. Tell me the truth. All of it. So I did. The midnight visit. The switched vitamins. The security footage showing Thessaly. The photos of him, or someone who looked like him, with her at the hotel. Every poisonous detail I'd been too afraid to voice. When I finished, he was silent for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. The sister. Bring her to the house. North Wing interrogation room. No one else present. He paused, listening. I don't care if she screams. Let her... He hung up and turned back to me, his expression unreadable. The photos are fake. I was never at that hotel. I was in Chicago exactly when I said I was. There are 50 witnesses, including 2 FBI agents conducting surveillance on the Calabrian meeting. Whoever sent those wanted you to doubt me. I know, I figured that out. But Cadenza, her face, was also doctored. Victor's team analyzed the metadata. The original photo was taken from Thessaly's Instagram from 2 years ago. Someone mapped her face onto another woman's body and placed it in a fabricated hotel scene. His hand tightened on mine. This wasn't amateur hour, Evelette. Whoever is behind this has resources. Money, professional forgers, the Volkovs? Maybe. Or someone closer. His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and his expression went arctic. Victor found something. I need to go... Wait. I grabbed his wrist. What did he find? Cadenza hesitated. For the first time since I'd known him, he looked uncertain. Your sister brought something to Victor 3 days ago. She claimed she was worried about the baby's paternity. Said she'd noticed some inconsistencies in your medical timeline. The room tilted. What? She commissioned a private prenatal paternity test. Non-invasive. Just blood work, supposedly. He pulled a manila envelope from his jacket and handed it to me. These arrived this morning. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a laboratory report from a fertility clinic in Coral Gables. Bold letters at the bottom. Probability of paternity, 0%. This says, you're not the father. I know what it says. His voice was deadly calm. Victor showed it to me 2 hours ago. Right before I got on the plane. Cadenza, I know you never touched another man. I know this baby is mine. He took the document and held it up to the light. But someone paid a lot of money to make it look legitimate. Professional letterhead, real doctor's signature, lab certification stamps. Thessaly commissioned it, yes. But she didn't fake it alone. The doctor who signed this, Dr. Helena Vargas, is real. She runs a legitimate practice. But 3 days ago, someone deposited $300,000 into an offshore account in her name. He crumpled the paper in his fist. The Volkovs have been laundering money through that same network for 6 months. My mind raced, trying to piece together the conspiracy. So Thessaly is working with them? She's helping them destroy you through me? Or she's being used? Either way, she's compromised. He stood, kissing my forehead with unexpected tenderness. I'm going to fix this, but I need you to stay here, safe, until I do. Promise me you won't leave this hospital without my security team. What are you going to do? He didn't answer. Just looked at me with those dark eyes that had seen too much death, committed too much violence, and still somehow loved me completely. Cadenza, please. She's still my sister. She stopped being your sister the moment she tried to kill our child. He moved toward the door, then paused. If the paternity test were real, if I thought for 1 second this baby wasn't mine, it wouldn't matter. You're my wife. This child is mine because you're carrying it. Blood doesn't make family, Evelette. Loyalty does. He left. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed with a video message from an unknown number. My hands trembled as I pressed play. The footage showed our mansion's North Wing interrogation room, a sterile space. Cadenza used for business discussions that left stains on the marble floor. Thessaly sat in a metal chair, her wrists zip-tied behind her. Victor stood across from her, expressionless. Where's the original blood sample? Victor's voice was professional, almost bored. I don't know what you're talking about. Thessaly's voice cracked, mascara running down her cheeks. The sample you gave Dr. Vargas, the one you claimed was Evolette's prenatal blood. Where did you actually get it? Silence. Victor moved closer. I'm going to ask you one more time. Then Cadenza handles it his way. Where did you get the blood? Thessaly looked directly into the camera, directly at me, and smiled through her tears. From a prostitute in Little Havana, $20. She didn't even ask why I needed it. The video ended. My baby kicked hard, a rolling movement that felt like a warning. I pressed my hand to my belly, feeling the outline of my son, because somehow I knew it was a son. My sister hadn't just tried to destroy my marriage, she'd tried to destroy my child's entire future. And now Cadenza knew. God help her. I wasn't supposed to leave the hospital for another 2 days. Dr. Reeves had been adamant. Bed rest, monitoring, no stress. But at 3 a.m., my phone rang with Cadenza's voice on the other end, raw and broken in a way I'd never heard before. Come home. Now. Bring security. What happened? Victor's dead. The drive from the hospital to our Star Island mansion took 12 minutes. 12 minutes of Miami's pre-dawn darkness, police lights reflecting off Biscayne Bay, my security detail silent and grim. 12 minutes to imagine every possible scenario, each one worse than the last. Victor Morozov had been Cadenza's right hand for 15 years. He'd taken 3 bullets meant for Cadenza in the Naples-Napoli War. He'd walked Cadenza's late brother's children down the aisle at their weddings. He was family in every way that mattered. And now he was dead. The mansion was ablaze with lights when we arrived. Black SUVs lined the circular driveway. Cadenza's inner circle called in from across the city. I recognized the license plates, his captains, his enforcers, the men who handled problems that required permanent solutions. Cadenza met me at the door. His shirt was unbuttoned, blood-stained. His hands were clean, but his knuckles were split, fresh cuts that hadn't been there when he left the hospital. Did you... I started. No. I found him like this. His voice was hollow, mechanical, but I know who did it. He led me through the house, past the living room where his men stood in clusters speaking in low, urgent tones, past the study where our wedding photos still hung on the walls, down the hallway to the north wing, the part of the house I rarely entered, because I didn't want to know what happened in those soundproof rooms. Victor's body lay on the marble floor of his private office, a converted greenhouse overlooking the bay. He'd been shot once in the back of the head, execution style. Professional. Clean. But someone had staged it to look like suicide. The gun in his hand, the note on his desk. Don't read it, Cadenza warned as I moved toward the note. I read it anyway. I'm sorry. I betrayed you. I betrayed the family. I took money from the Volkovs. I helped Thessaly destroy your marriage because they promised me enough to disappear. But I can't live with what I've done. What we did to Evelette. What we tried to do to your child. Forgive me, brother. I wasn't strong enough. The handwriting was Victor's. The signature was Victor's. But the words felt wrong, staged. His phone? I said. Where's his phone? Cadenza pointed to the evidence bag on Victor's desk. Miami PD already bagged it, but I pulled the data before they arrived. He handed me a tablet. Listen to this. It's a voicemail he left me 2 hours before he died, before whoever killed him deleted it from my phone. I pressed play. Victor's voice filled the room, thick with panic, and what sounded like genuine remorse. Cadenza, I fucked up. I fucked up so bad, brother. Thessaly, she came to me 6 weeks ago, before she even arrived at your house. She had photos of me with, it doesn't matter, compromising photos. She said if I didn't help her, she'd send them to the Bratva. And you know what they'd do to me? A pause. Breathing. The sound of traffic in the background. She made me plant the fake DNA results. Made me alter the security footage so it looked like random staff entering Evelette's bathroom. Made me create alibis for times she was in places she shouldn't have been. But I swear to God, I didn't know about the vitamins. I didn't know she was trying to hurt the baby. When I found out, I confronted her. Another pause. This one longer. She laughed, Cadenza. She fucking laughed and said the baby was just collateral damage. That once Evelette lost the pregnancy, you'd be vulnerable. Broken. Easy to manipulate. She said the Volkovs promised her 10 million and a clean exit to the Seychelles if she could deliver you to them. Get you to sign over the port contracts. She's not just stealing your wife's life. She's selling your entire operation. The sound of a car door opening. Closing. I'm coming to the house now. I have evidence. Text messages. Wire transfer receipts. Audio recordings of her with Dmitry Volkov. Everything you need to bury her and the Volkovs. But brother, if something happens to me before I get there, if you find me dead, know that I didn't take the coward's way out. Know that I'm sorry. And know that Thessaly has a sniper on payroll. Someone close to you. Someone with access to your home. The voicemail ended. I looked at Cadenza, my blood running cold. Where's Thessaly now? Guest house. Under guard. She doesn't know Victor's dead yet. His jaw clenched. She doesn't know we found his real phone, the burner he used to document everything, hidden in his car. What's on it? He pulled up a video file. The footage was grainy, clearly shot from a hidden camera. It showed Thessaly in a restaurant I didn't recognize, sitting across from a man with distinctive scarring on his neck, Dmitry Volkov's signature, courtesy of a Chechen warlord who'd tried to kill him in 2019. This was filmed 3 months ago, Cadenza said quietly. Before you were even pregnant. Before she moved in with us. She's been planning this for almost a year. The audio was clear despite the ambient noise. When do I get paid? Thessaly's voice, sharp and businesslike. Nothing like the tearful, vulnerable sister she'd been playing. Half? Now? Half when Torino signs the contracts? Dimitri's accent was thick, Russian heavy. You deliver him broken, desperate, willing to negotiate. We take over his ports. You disappear with enough money to live like a queen. And my sister, Dmitry shrugged. Collateral damage. If she survives the miscarriage, fine. If not, he made a dismissive gesture. Pregnancy complications happen. Thessaly smiled. Actually smiled. I need it to look natural. No obvious poisoning. No violence that traces back to me. We have people. Doctors. They'll provide pills that cause hemorrhaging. Untraceable. Just slip them into her daily vitamins. The video ended. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. My hands moved instinctively to my belly, protecting the life growing inside me from the monster who shared my DNA. She tried to kill our baby for money, I whispered. She tried to kill our baby to destroy me. Cadenza's voice was lethal. Controlled violence, barely contained. Victor died because he grew a conscience. Because he realized he'd helped a psychopath nearly murder an innocent child. The sniper he mentioned. Someone with access to our home. I know who it is. He pulled up another file, this one showing employee records. Elena Vasquez. Our housekeeper for 3 years. She's former Russian military. Graduated top of her class from the Tactical Training Center in Moscow. The Volkovs placed her here 18 months ago, and we never caught it. Where is she? Miami PD has her in custody. She tried to run when she heard Victor was dead. Made it as far as Homestead before my men found her. He zoomed in on a photo of Elena being loaded into a police car, her face impassive. She's already negotiating a plea deal. Says she'll give us everything. Names, bank accounts, the entire Volkov network, if we guarantee witness protection. My baby kicked, a rolling movement that felt like agreement. Like my son knew his father was about to burn down everyone who'd tried to harm us. What happens to Thessaly? Cadenza closed the tablet, his expression unreadable. That depends on you. On me? She's your sister. Your blood. If you want her to face trial, to spend the rest of her life in a federal prison, I'll make it happen. The evidence is overwhelming. He moved closer, his hand covering mine on my belly. But if you want her to disappear, if you want her to face the kind of justice the legal system can't provide, I can arrange that too. I thought about my childhood with Thessaly, the sister who'd braided my hair before school, who'd held me when our parents divorced, who'd promised we'd always have each other, no matter what. That sister was gone. Maybe she'd never existed. What did Victor's real evidence show? I asked. Cadenza pulled out a burner phone, Victor's final insurance policy. The screen showed a series of text messages between Thessaly and an unknown number. Thessaly, the vitamins are in place. She should start bleeding within 48 hours. Unknown. And if the baby survives? Thessaly, then I moved to plan B. Stairs. A fall. Something that looks accidental. Unknown, make it count. Dimitri's getting impatient. Thessaly, tell Dimitri I don't fail. I never have. The timestamp, 5 days ago, the same day she'd stood in my hospital room, crying and playing the devoted sister. She was going to push me down the stairs, I said numbly. She was going to murder you and our child, frame it as an accident, and comfort me through my grief while selling my empire to the Volkovs. Cadenza's voice dropped to that deadly whisper. She's not your sister anymore, Evelette. She's a weapon aimed at our family. A knock on the door interrupted us. One of Cadenza's captains entered, his face grim. Boss. Thessaly's asking to see Evelette. Says she has information about Victor's death. Says she knows who killed him. Cadenza looked at me, the question clear in his eyes. I stood, my hands still pressed to my belly, feeling my son move beneath my palm. This child who'd survived poison, betrayal, and a sister's greed. This child who deserved to grow up safe. Bring her to the study, I said. It's time she and I had a conversation about family. Thessaly walked into the study like she owned it. That was the first thing I noticed. The confidence in her stride, the way her eyes swept. Across Cadenza's leather-bound books and mahogany desk like she was cataloging assets. She'd changed clothes since this morning. Now she wore a cream cashmere sweater that looked suspiciously like one, missing from my closet and diamond studs I recognized as my mother's. She was already moving into my life, piece by piece. You wanted to see me? Her voice was soft, vulnerable. The performance was flawless. I've been so worried. Victor's death, it's terrifying. None of us are safe. I sat in Cadenza's chair, the one that faced the bay windows overlooking our property. My hands rested on my belly, feeling my son move beneath my palm. Cadenza stood behind me, silent and lethal as a coiled snake. Sit down, Thessaly. She obeyed, perching on the edge of the visitor's chair like a frightened bird. What's going on? Why do you both look so serious? I need to ask you about my trust fund. I kept my voice steady, clinical. The one Mom and Dad left me, the one that's been sitting untouched since they died. Something flickered across her face, too quick to identify, but there. What about it? $4.7 million disappeared from it over the past 6 weeks. Wire transfers, all authorized with my signature and banking credentials. I pulled up the documents on Cadenza's computer, turning the screen toward her. The money went to offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, accounts registered under your name. The color drained from her face. That's impossible. I don't have any offshore accounts. Ev, someone's framing me. The IP address for the transfers traces back to our guest house. Your laptop. Your fingerprints are on the authorization forms. Cadenza's voice was ice. We have you on security footage accessing Evelette's safe in the middle of the night. The same safe where she keeps her banking information. Thessaly stood, her chair scraping against the marble floor. This is insane. Why would I steal from my own sister? I came here to help her, to protect her. You came here to destroy her. I stood too, my pregnancy making the movement awkward but my voice deadly calm. You've been planning this for almost a year. Long before I got pregnant, long before you showed up crying about your abusive ex-boyfriend, who, by the way, doesn't exist. We checked. Her expression shifted. The tears dried up. The vulnerable sister act evaporated like morning fog, revealing something cold and calculating underneath. You checked? She laughed. Actually laughed. Of course you did. Cadenza's people are thorough. I should have known they'd dig into my story eventually. Why? The word tore from my throat. Why would you do this? We're sisters. We're family. Family? Thessaly's voice turned vicious. You want to talk about family? You got everything, Evelit. Everything. Mom and Dad's inheritance. You got the trust fund while I got $50,000 and a lecture about learning responsibility. You got to go to Princeton while I worked 2 jobs to pay for community college. You met Cadenza at some charity gala and married into power and money, while I was dating losers who couldn't afford to buy me dinner. So this is about jealousy? About money? It's about justice. She was shouting now, all pretense gone. You don't deserve this life. You don't deserve him. You were an art curator, for God's sake. You spent your days looking at paintings while I was fighting for scraps. And then you married a mafia king and got pregnant with his heir like it was some fairy tale. Cadenza moved forward, placing himself between us. The money. Where is it now? Thessaly smiled, and it was the ugliest thing I'd ever seen. Gone. Transferred through 6 different shell corporations. Even if you freeze the accounts, you'll never trace all of it. I've been planning this for 18 months. Every contingency. Every escape route. The Volkovs? I said. You're working with them. They offered me $10 million to deliver Cadenza. Broken, desperate, willing to sign over his port operations. The trust fund was just a bonus. My payment for years of being second best. She turned to Cadenza, her expression almost pitying. You were so easy to manipulate. A few fake photos, a doctored paternity test, some tears and sisterly concern. You almost believed I was trying to help. Almost. Cadenza pulled out his phone, playing the video of Thessaly meeting with Dmitry Volkov. Her face went white as she watched herself plotting my baby's death. Where did you get that? Victor recorded everything. Every meeting, every conversation, every wire transfer. Cadenza's voice was deadly quiet. He was building a case against you for weeks. That's why you had him killed. I didn't kill Victor. For the first time, genuine fear crept into her voice. Elena was supposed to just watch him, make sure he didn't talk. I didn't order a hit. Elena works for the Volkovs. She takes orders from Dmitry, not you. Cadenza moved closer, towering over her. The moment you became a liability, the moment Victor started cooperating with us, Dmitry decided to clean house. Victor's dead because of you. And you were next. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Thessaly's phone buzzed. She looked down at it, and her face went gray. She showed us the screen with trembling hands. A text from an unknown number. You failed. The contract IS closed. Run. They're going to kill me, she whispered. Dimitri's going to kill me because I didn't deliver. Yes. Cadenza's tone held no sympathy. The Volkovs don't tolerate failure. You're a loose end now. Someone who knows too much and delivered too little. Thessaly looked at me, desperation replacing the calculating coldness. Ev, please, I'm your sister. You can protect me. Tell Cadenza to hide me, to keep me safe. You tried to murder my baby. My voice broke on the last word. You poisoned me. You were planning to push me down the stairs. You sold $4.7 million of my parents' legacy, the only thing I had left of them, to fund your betrayal. I didn't mean for it to go this far. The pregnancy complication, I just wanted you to miscarry. Clean, medical, no one's fault. She was crying again, but these tears looked real. I didn't want you dead, just broken enough to leave, to give up on this life so I could have it instead. You wanted to kill my child so you could steal my husband. I wanted what you have. She screamed it, her composure completely shattered. I wanted to be chosen, to be special, to matter to someone the way you mattered to Cadenza. Is that so wrong? Cadenza pulled an envelope from his desk drawer and placed it on the table between us. Inside was a one-way plane ticket to Minsk, Belarus. Departure, tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. You have two choices, he said. Option 1. You take this ticket. You get on that plane. You arrive in Belarus where the Volkov Syndicate's enemies, the Belarusian Bratva, will be waiting for you. They're very interested in meeting the woman who tried to destroy their American operations by targeting me. Thessaly stared at the ticket like it was a death sentence. And option 2? You stay here, face federal charges for wire fraud, attempted murder, conspiracy, and working with organized crime. Spend the rest of your life in a maximum security prison where the Volkovs have significant influence among the inmate population. Cadenza's smile was cold. Either way, you pay for what you did. There has to be another option. Witness protection, a plea deal, something. There isn't. I stood, moving toward the door. My baby kicked hard, a rolling movement that felt like agreement. You burned every bridge, betrayed every person who could have helped you. Victor's dead because he tried to save you from yourself? Evelet, please. Take the ticket, Thessaly. At least in Belarus, you have a chance to run. A slim chance, but a chance. I paused at the door, looking back at the woman who'd shared my childhood. You were right about one thing. I did get lucky. I got Cadenza. I got this baby. I got a life worth protecting. But, you know what you got? Exactly what you deserved. I left her sitting there, staring at the plane ticket, her phone still buzzing, with threatening messages from the people she'd thought would make her rich. Cadenza followed me into the hallway, closing the study door behind him. She'll take the ticket. I know. The Belarusian Bratva won't kill her immediately. They'll extract information first. Everything she knows about the Volkovs' American operations. It will take days, maybe weeks. His hand found mine, squeezing gently. Is that justice enough? I thought about my baby, safe inside me despite everything Thessaly had done. Thought about Victor, dead because he'd tried to do the right thing. Thought about my parents' money, stolen to fund my own destruction. No, I said honestly, but it's what she chose. That night I dreamed of my sister boarding a plane to hell. And when I woke up, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. The invitation arrived at noon, delivered by one of Cadenza's men, in a cream envelope with my name written in Thessaly's handwriting. Family dinner tonight, 7 p.m. Let's clear the air before I leave tomorrow. Please? One last meal together. Tea. I should have known it was a trap. Cadenza read the note over my shoulder, his body tense with suspicion. You're not going. I have to. I folded the invitation, studying the desperate slant of Thessaly's cursive. She leaves tomorrow morning. This is her last chance to say goodbye, or to try something stupid. Exactly. Which is why you're staying here, safe. While I handle. She's my sister. Cadenza. I turned to face him, my hand on my belly where our son kicked in agreement or protest. I couldn't tell which. Whatever else she's done, whatever monster she's become, she's still my blood. I need to look her in the eyes one last time. I need to know if there's anything left of the girl I grew up with. His jaw clenched. If she tries anything, you'll be there. Your men will be there. I'll be safe. I touched his face, feeling the tension in his muscles. But I need closure. I need to end this myself. He pulled me close, careful of my belly, his lips against my temple. You wear a vest. You sit where I can see you, and the moment I sense danger, you leave. No arguments. No arguments. The dining room had been transformed. Candles flickered on every surface, casting warm light across the mahogany table Cadenza's grandmother had brought from Naples. The good china, Limoges porcelain with gold trim, gleamed against white linen. Crystal wine glasses caught the candlelight like trapped stars. Thessaly had set 3 places, one at the head of the table for Cadenza, one to his right for me, and one to his left, my usual seat, the position of honor, for herself. She emerged from the kitchen wearing my wedding jewelry. The diamond earrings Cadenza had given me the morning after our wedding. The Torino family signet ring that had belonged to his mother. The pearl necklace his grandmother had worn when she fled Naples in 1943, sewn into the lining of her coat. You look beautiful. Thessaly smiled, gesturing to my chair, the wrong chair, the visitor's seat. Pregnancy suits you. You're glowing. I didn't sit. Why are you wearing my jewelry? I wanted to look nice for our last dinner together. You don't mind, do you? She touched the pearls at her throat, her fingers caressing them like they were hers. I've always admired these. The history they carry, the power. Cadenza entered behind me, his presence filling the room like a gathering storm. He took in the scene with cold precision. The seating arrangement, the jewelry, the barely concealed madness in Thessaly's eyes. Sit down, Thessaly. His voice was quiet, lethal. In the correct chair. I am sitting correctly. She lowered herself into my seat, spreading her hands across the table like a queen claiming her throne. This is where the lady of the house sits. And since Yvette is clearly not well enough to fulfill her duties, what with the pregnancy, complications and the paranoid delusions about her own sister, I thought I'd step in. Help. The way families should. Paranoid delusions? I moved toward the table, Cadenza's hand on my lower back steadying me. Is that what we're calling attempted murder now? I think the stress of pregnancy has made you unstable. Thessaly's voice was saccharine, false sympathy dripping from every word. You're seeing threats where there are none. Accusing me of poisoning you when the doctor said it was just expired vitamins. An honest mistake. Claiming I stole from you when clearly someone hacked your accounts. You confessed. Cadenza pulled out the chair to his right, my chair, and helped me sit. 2 hours ago. In the study. You admitted everything. Did the first? She smiled, and it was the most unsettling thing I'd ever seen. Or did you pressure me into saying what you wanted to hear? 2 powerful people against 1 frightened woman. Who do you think the courts will believe? She'd lost her mind. Somewhere between the confrontation and this dinner, Thessaly had snapped completely. She actually believed she could gaslight her way out of this. The plane ticket? I said carefully, like I was talking to a dangerous animal. You're leaving tomorrow. Fresh start, clean slate. Why are we doing this dinner? Because I'm not leaving. She picked up her wine glass, filled with red wine that I knew she'd been sober for 3 years to afford, and drank deeply. I've decided to stay, to fight for what's rightfully mine. This house, this family, this life. There is no fight. Cadenza's voice dropped to that whisper that preceded violence. You're on that plane tomorrow morning, or you're in federal custody by noon. Those are your only options. Or option 3. Thessaly pulled out her phone, her thumb hovering over the screen. I call the FBI right now and tell them everything. Your shipping operations, your connections to the Calabrian families, your accounts in the Cayman Islands, your smuggling routes from Naples to Miami. Every illegal thing you've ever done, Cadenza. I destroy your empire and take Yvette down with you. The room went silent except for the candle flames flickering. Cadenza didn't move, didn't blink. Just watched Thessaly with the patience of a predator waiting for prey to make a fatal mistake. Do it, he said quietly. Thessaly's thumb wavered. What? Call them, right now. Tell them everything. He leaned back in his chair, completely relaxed. And then watch what happens when they realize you're the one who's been working with the Volkovs. When they find the money you stole, the fake DNA tests you commissioned, the conspiracy to commit murder, Victor's death. Victor's death wasn't my fault. You hired Elena. You told her to watch him. You gave the Volkovs access to our home, our security codes, our schedules. Victor is dead because of you. Cadenza's voice never rose, never wavered. So yes, call the FBI. Let's see whose empire burns first. Thessaly's face crumpled. The phone clattered to the table. She buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking with sobs that sounded real this time. I just wanted what she has, she whispered. I just wanted to matter. A sharp pain shot through my abdomen. I gasped, my hand flying to my belly. The baby kicked hard once, twice, then stopped moving. Yvette? Cadenza was on his feet instantly, his hands on my shoulders. Another pain, worse this time. radiating from my lower back through my pelvis. Something warm and wet between my legs. Oh God. I looked down. Blood soaked through my dress, bright red against cream fabric. Something's wrong. Something's wrong with the baby. Thessaly stood, and her face had gone completely white. I swear I didn't put anything in your food. I didn't touch anything. The water glass. The one she'd placed at my setting before we arrived. I'd taken one sip. What was in the water? Cadenza's voice was deadly calm even as he pulled out his phone, dialing 911. Nothing. I swear to God, nothing. Thessaly backed away from the table, her hands up. I wouldn't hurt the baby. Not now. Not after everything. Another contraction. Stronger. My vision blurred at the edges. Prostaglandin. I forced the word out through gritted teeth. It induces labor. It's tasteless in water. Thessaly's face confirmed it before her words did. They told me it would just cause cramping, a scare, not actual labor. You're only 5 months, the baby can't survive. Cadenza moved so fast I barely saw it. One moment he was beside me, the next he had Thessaly pinned against the wall, his hand around her throat. Who gave you the pills? Elena, before you arrested her. She said it was insurance. One last chance to complete the job if everything else failed. Thessaly was sobbing, clawing at his hand. I didn't think you'd actually drink it. I thought you'd be suspicious. You thought wrong? He released her, and she crumpled to the floor. Evelyn needs a hospital. Now. And you... He looked down at Thessaly with pure hatred. You're going to pray that baby survives. Because if he doesn't, there's no plane ticket, no prison, no mercy. The ambulance arrived in 7 minutes. 7 minutes of contractions that shouldn't have been happening. 7 minutes of my baby fighting to stay inside me when he was too small, too early, too fragile. 7 minutes of watching Thessaly sob on the floor, still wearing my jewelry, still, sitting in my chair, still trying to steal my life, even as she destroyed it. As the paramedics loaded me into the ambulance, I saw Cadenza make a phone call, saw him speak quietly to one of his men, saw him look at Thessaly one last time with an expression that promised death. The plane ticket wasn't an option anymore. She'd just chosen her fate. The baby was alive. Against every medical probability. Against the prostaglandin coursing through my system trying to force him out too early. Against 5 months of attacks on his life. My son was still fighting. Dr. Reeves administered tocolytics to stop the contractions, steroids to strengthen his underdeveloped lungs, in case we couldn't stop the labor, and something for the pain that made the hospital room blur at the edges. Through it all, Cadenza sat beside my bed, his hand gripping mine so tightly I could feel his pulse beating against my palm. Heart rate is stabilizing, Dr. Reeves said, her eyes on the fetal monitor. The contractions are slowing. You're not dilating further. She looked at me with something like wonder. This baby wants to stay exactly where he is. He's a fighter. My voice cracked. Like his father, Cadenza pressed his forehead to my hand, and I felt wetness on my skin. He was crying. This man who'd ordered executions without flinching, who did built an empire on violence and fear, was crying over our unborn son. The door opened. One of Cadenza's men, Marco, his head of security, entered with a tablet and an expression that promised bad news. Boss. We found the recordings, all of them. Cadenza lifted his head, his grief transforming instantly into cold fury. Show me. Marco handed him the tablet. Victor had cameras everywhere, not just in the house, in his car, his office, even his coat pocket. He documented everything Thessaly did for the past 6 weeks. Every conversation, every transaction, every lie. Where is she now? I asked. Secured. North Wing. Marco's jaw tightened. She's been asking to see you. Says she has something important to tell you. Says it's about your baby. Cadenza stood. I'll handle it. No. I pushed myself up despite Dr. Reeves's protests, despite the 4 lines and monitors. I need to see this. I need to hear whatever she has to say. Because after tonight, she's gone, and I'll never get another chance to understand why she tried to destroy us. The North Wing felt different in the middle of the night. Colder, more sterile. The room where they'd placed Thessaly had been stripped of everything except a metal chair and table bolted to the floor. She sat with her hands zip-tied, still wearing my wedding jewelry like she'd forgotten she had it on. Her face was a mess of mascara and tears. When she saw me, something flickered in her eyes. Relief, maybe, or one last desperate calculation. Ev. Thank God. I need to tell you something before. Her eyes darted to Cadenza, to Marco standing by the door. Before they do whatever they're planning to do to me, you tried to kill my baby. I sat across from her, my hand on my belly. Again. After everything, you drugged me and tried to force a miscarriage. So whatever you have to say, it better be the truth. Because I'm done with your lies. It is the truth. I swear. She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. The prostaglandin, Elena gave it to me before you arrested her. But she told me something else. Something about the Volkovs' real plan. Which is, they don't just want Cadenza's ports, they want him dead. And they want his heir dead too. Thessaly's eyes filled with fresh tears. Once your baby is born, they're planning to hit you both. Make it look like a rival family, the Calabrians or the Sicilians. Start a war that destroys all of Cadenza's alliances while they take over his territory. Cadenza's expression didn't change. And you know this how, Dmitri told me. He was drunk, celebrating Victor's death. He said, she swallowed hard. He said, I did them a favor by softening you up, by making you vulnerable, by proving that even the great Cadenza Torino could be destroyed through his family. Marco stepped forward, placing the tablet on the table. Victor recorded that conversation. Among others, he pressed play. The video showed Thessaly in a car with Dmitri Volkov. The timestamp, 2 days ago, before the dinner, before the final attempt on my baby's life. Dmitri's voice was thick with accent and alcohol. Your sister, she is tougher than you thought, yes? The baby survives everything. Maybe we need to change approach. The prostaglandin will work. Thessaly sounded confident, businesslike. 1 dose in her water at dinner. She'll miscarry within hours. Then Cadenza will be broken. Easy to manipulate. And if baby survives again, then we wait until it's born and kill them both. Mother and child. Blame it on the Calabrians. Thessaly's voice was cold, matter of fact. Either way, you get your ports in your war. I get my money in my new life. You are cold woman. Dmitri laughed. I like this. But you understand, after job is done, you are also liability. You know too much. That's why I have insurance. Documents, recordings, bank accounts in your name. If anything happens to me, everything goes to the FBI. The video ended. Thessaly stared at the screen, her face gray. I was protecting myself. I wasn't really going to... You were going to kill my wife and child. Cadenza's voice was deadly quiet. Then blackmail the Volkovs into letting you disappear. Except your insurance policy was Victor's recordings, which now belong to me. I have other insurance. Thessaly lifted her chin with desperate defiance. Files I uploaded to the cloud. Scheduled emails to the FBI. If I don't cancel them every 24 hours, everything, your entire operation, gets exposed. Marco pulled out a laptop. We found the scheduled emails. Canceled them 20 minutes ago using the password your digital forensics guy cracked from your laptop. He turned the screen toward her. There is no insurance, Thessaly. There's only what happens next. The color drained from her face. What are you going to do to me? Cadenza pulled another video file up on the tablet. Watch. The new footage showed a different meeting. Thessaly with a man I didn't recognize in what looked like a parking garage. The timestamp, 6 months ago, before I was even pregnant. I need enough to destroy her completely, Thessaly was saying. Her marriage, her reputation, her relationship with Cadenza, everything. The man, older, professional-looking, nodded. We can fabricate anything. Hotel photos, DNA tests, financial records. But this level of forgery costs money. I have money. My sister's trust fund. 4.7 million. I just need access to her accounts. That's identity theft. Conspiracy to commit fraud. Wire fraud. You're talking about federal charges. She'll never report it. She's too proud, too dependent on Cadenza to risk his empire. Thessaly smiled. By the time she realizes what happened, I'll be living her life. The video ended. That's not, I didn't mean, Thessaly was stammering now, all composure gone. You're taking it out of context. 6 months of planning, I said quietly. You started this before I was pregnant, before you even moved in with us. You were always going to destroy me. The baby was just collateral damage. No, I mean, yes, I wanted what you had, but I didn't want you dead. I didn't want the baby dead. I just wanted my life. I stood, my hand still on my belly where our son, our surviving, fighting, miraculous son, pressed against my palm. You wanted my husband, my home, my future, and when I got pregnant, you decided my baby was an obstacle to eliminate. Thessaly's face crumpled. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened to me. I got so lost in the jealousy, in the anger. And the Volkovs, they made it seem so easy. Like I could just take what should have been mine all along. Nothing was ever yours. Cadenza picked up the tablet, scrolling through files. Victor documented 63 crimes you committed over the past 6 weeks. Wire fraud, identity theft, conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, working with organized crime. The federal prosecutor's office received all of this evidence an hour ago. No, you said I had a choice, the plane or prison. You said, that was before you tried to kill my son at my dinner table. Cadenza's voice was ice. The plane ticket was mercy. You don't get mercy anymore. 2 federal agents entered the room, their badges gleaming in the fluorescent light. Thessaly Vex, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, wire fraud, and violations of the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. You have the right to remain silent. Thessaly screamed as they pulled her to her feet. Evelette, please, I'm your sister. You can't let them do this. Tell them I was coerced. Tell them the Volkovs forced me. I watched them lead her toward the door, still wearing my jewelry, still trying to steal pieces of my life even as hers ended. I don't have a sister, I said quietly. Not anymore. They took her away. Her screams echoed down the hallway, then faded into silence. Cadenza pulled me close, careful of my belly, his hand covering mine over our son. It's over, is it? I looked up at him. The Volkovs are still out there. They still want you dead. They still want our baby dead. Not for long. His smile was cold, predatory. Dmitry Volkov's plane landed in Miami 3 hours ago. My men are waiting at his hotel. By morning, he'll have bigger problems than our family. What about Elena? Already talking. Federal prosecutor offered her witness protection in exchange for testimony against the entire Volkov network. She's giving them everything. Money laundering operations, murder for hire schemes, corruption networks. He kissed my forehead. The Volkovs' American operations will be dismantled by next week. My baby kicked hard, a rolling movement that felt like victory. We survived, I whispered. You survived. Cadenza's hand moved across my belly, feeling our son move beneath his palm. You and him, the 2 strongest people I've ever known. We stood there in the cold hallway while federal agents processed evidence in the next room, while my sister disappeared into a system that would lock her away for decades, while our baby kicked and fought and refused to give up. We'd survived, and now we were going to win. 3 months later, I held my son for the first time. He arrived 4 weeks early but healthy. 7 pounds, 2 ounces of pure miracle. Dark hair like his father, my green eyes, and lungs strong enough to announce his arrival to the entire maternity ward. Cadenza cried when Dr. Reeves placed him in my arms. Real tears this time, no violence or grief behind them. Just pure, overwhelming love for the tiny human who'd survived everything the world threw at him before he was even born. What's his name? Doctor, Reeves asked, making notes on her tablet. Cadenza and I looked at each other. We'd discussed dozens of names over the past months. Traditional Italian names from his family, strong American names from mine, but in the end, only one felt right. Victor, Cadenza said quietly. His name is Victor Torino, for the man who died protecting him, for the conscience that had cost a life but saved ours. The news about Thessaly came 3 days after Victor's birth. Marco delivered it while I was nursing, Cadenza sitting beside me watching. Our son with an expression of wonder he probably didn't know he was wearing. The trial date is set, June 15th. Federal prosecutor is pushing for 30 years minimum. Marco hesitated. She's been trying to call you. Letters too. The prison's holding them per your request, but burn them, I said without looking up from Victor's face. All of them. I don't want to know what she has to say. Actually, you might want to hear this one. Marco pulled out a tablet. She recorded a video testimony as part of her plea negotiation. It exposes the entire Volkov operation. Names, accounts, operations. It's why the federal prosecutor can dismantle their network so quickly. Cadenza tensed. She's cooperating? Completely. She's giving them everything. Every meeting she had with Dmitri, every transaction, every crime. She's burning the Volkovs to the ground. Marco pulled up the video file. I think she wants you to see this. I shouldn't have watched it. Should have stayed focused on my son, on my recovery, on the family we were building from the ashes of betrayal. But curiosity, or maybe a need for closure, made me nod. Marco pressed play. Thessaly appeared on screen, wearing an orange jumpsuit, her face bare of makeup. She looked older, harder. Like prison was already changing her. Evelette? She began, her voice steady. I know you don't want to hear from me. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I need you to understand something before I spend the rest of my life paying for what I did. She took a shaky breath. The Volkovs played me. From the beginning. They knew about my jealousy, my resentment. They studied me for months before Dmitri approached me. They knew exactly what buttons to push, what promises to make, how to turn my anger into a weapon aimed at you. A pause. She looked directly into the camera. But here's the thing I only realized when I was sitting in that interrogation room watching Victor's recordings. They were going to kill me too. The moment my job was done, the moment you miscarried, or your baby was born, or Cadenza signed over his ports, I was dead. Elena confirmed it during her testimony. Dmitri had already hired someone to eliminate me. My insurance files, my leverage, none of it mattered. I was always going to be collateral damage. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't wipe them away. So I'm cooperating. I'm giving the FBI everything. Bank accounts in the Cayman Islands holding $47 million in Volkov money. Names of their operations in 12 states. Evidence of 17 murders they ordered over the past decade. I'm burning their entire empire. She leaned closer to the camera. Not because I'm noble, not because I suddenly grew a conscience, but because if I'm going to prison for 30 years, I'm making damn sure Dmitri Volkov spends the rest of his life there too. And I'm making sure you and that baby... Her voice cracked. I'm making sure Victor... That's what you named him, right? The baby? I heard the guards talking. I'm making sure Victor grows up safe, protected, free from the people who tried to use me to destroy him. The video ended. I sat in silence. Victor asleep against my chest, his tiny hand curled around my finger. The Volkovs? I asked quietly. Marco nodded. Dmitri was arrested 2 days ago. Federal charges based on Thessaly's testimony and Elena's evidence. His organization is collapsing. Associates are flipping, accounts are frozen, operations are shut down. The FBI estimates the Volkovs will be completely dismantled within 6 months. And Thessaly? Plea deal. 20 years with possibility of parole after 12. She'll serve her time in a federal facility in Pennsylvania. Protected wing, separate from general population? Marco paused. She asked if you'd bring Victor to visit. Once. Just once before he's old enough to remember. I looked down at my son, this perfect, innocent life who'd survived poisons and plots and a family member's hatred, who'd fought to be born against impossible odds, who deserved better than a legacy of betrayal and violence. No, I said finally. She doesn't get to meet him. She doesn't get to hold him or see him or pretend she's his aunt. She tried to kill him twice. That doesn't earn her a reunion. Cadenza squeezed my shoulder. You're sure? I'm sure. I kissed Victor's forehead, breathing in that newborn smell that somehow made everything else fade into background noise. She wanted my life. She tried to steal it, to destroy it, to burn it down and build her own on the ashes. But she failed. We survived. And now we get to live, actually live, without her shadow poisoning everything. Marco nodded and left quietly, taking the tablet with him. That night, I stood in Victor's nursery, the room we decorated with hand-painted murals of the Mediterranean coast where Cadenza's family originated, where our son would grow up hearing stories of Naples and Miami, of legacy and loyalty, of a family that had been tested and emerged stronger. Cadenza came up behind me, wrapping his arms around both of us. "Do you think she meant it?" I asked. "About cooperating to protect Victor?" "I think she meant it when she said it." His voice was thoughtful. "Whether she still means it in 5 years, or 10, or 20, I don't know. People change in prison. They get bitter. They get desperate. They start rewriting history to make themselves the victim. So we stay vigilant." "We stay vigilant." He kissed my temple. "But we also live. We raise our son. We build the life she tried to destroy. Because the best revenge isn't making her suffer. It's showing her that even after everything, she couldn't break us." Victor stirred in my arms, making small sounds of contentment. His eyes opened, those green eyes that were mine, filled with trust and innocence and a future that was his to claim. "Your aunt tried to kill you before you were born," I whispered to him. "But you fought, you survived, and now you get to grow up safe and loved and free. That's your story, baby boy, not hers. Yours." 6 months after Thessaly's sentencing, I burned the letters she'd sent from prison. All 47 of them, unread, in the fireplace of our Miami mansion. I watched the paper curl and blacken, smoke rising up the chimney, carrying away the last pieces of a relationship that had been toxic from the start. Cadenza stood beside me, Victor asleep in his arms, as we watched our past turn to ash. "Do you regret it?" he asked. "Not reading them? Not giving her a chance to explain?" I thought about the sister who'd braided my hair and the woman who'd poisoned my vitamins, about blood ties and chosen family, about forgiveness and protection. "No," I said, "I don't regret it. Because some betrayals are too deep to forgive, some wounds are too severe to heal, and some people, even family, don't deserve second chances when they tried to murder your child." The last letter caught fire, Thessaly's handwriting disappearing into smoke and memory. Victor opened his eyes and smiled at me, that gummy, innocent smile that reminded me why we'd fought so hard. "Tell me a story, Mama," he'd say years later, when he was old enough to ask questions about the scars on my wrists from Hospital 4S, about the sister I never mentioned, about why we had so much security, and I'd tell him the truth. "Once upon a time, you were the strongest person I'd ever known. You fought to be born when everything tried to stop you, and you won. That's the only story that matters. They say family is everything. They lied. Family is the people who protect you, who fight for you, who choose you every single day. Blood doesn't make family, loyalty does. And my family, Cadenza, Victor, the life we built from betrayal's ashes, was everything I'd ever needed. The rest was just smoke, rising into the Miami night, disappearing like it had never existed at all. Thank you so much for sticking around and showing me so much love and support. You have no idea how much it means to me. If this story resonated with you, then hit that subscribe and like button right now.